You pull up to the drive-thru. You're not planning to spend much. You just want something quick, something cheap. You glance at the value menu, a burger for $1, fries for $1.50, a small drink for $1. You think, there's no way they're making money on this. $1 burger? That has to be a lost leader. That has to be the restaurant eating the cost just to get you in the door. Here's what almost nobody realizes standing at that drive-thru window. That dollar burger isn't a sacrifice. It's one of the most carefully engineered pieces of the entire business, and it's often more profitable per item than the meal you actually meant to order. The value menu isn't where fast food chains lose money. It's where they quietly make the most of it by selling you cheap food and expensive convenience at the same time. Value menus aren't one thing. They're actually 3 different pricing strategies stacked on top of each other, wearing the same cheap costume. There's the true loss leader items priced below cost, specifically to get you through the door. There's the margin item things that look cheap, but actually carry a higher profit percentage than anything else on the menu. And there's the upsell bridge items deliberately priced just low enough to make the next tier up feel like a better deal, nudging you to spend more than you planned. 3 different jobs, 1 menu board. So what's actually in that dollar item? Not much, physically, and that's the point. A value menu burger uses the cheapest cuts of ground beef, the smallest bun, minimal toppings, and almost no labor time, since it's often pre-portioned and assembled in seconds. A small soft drink is nearly pure profit because the syrup-to-water ratio makes the actual product cost a few cents, while the cup, lid, and straw often cost more than the liquid inside it. You're not buying a discount. You're buying the version of the product engineered to cost the restaurant the least, while still training your brain to associate this brand with cheap. Let's put numbers on it. A typical value menu burger might sell for $1 to $2. The actual food cost the beef, bun, and condiments often runs between 30 and 50 cents. A small fountain drink sold for $1.50 can cost the restaurant as little as 10 to 15 cents to produce. That's a margin north of 90% higher than almost anything else in the building, including the premium burger you think is the real purchase. So where does this pricing model come from? Follow it upstream. Fast food chains negotiate beef, potatoes, and syrup at massive volume, buying in quantities that individual restaurants never could, driving raw ingredient cost down to fractions of a cent per unit. That volume advantage is passed on selectively, not lowered evenly across the menu, but concentrated into a handful of headline value items designed to be advertised, memorized, and repeated in your head every time you're hungry and broke. The value menu isn't the leftover of the pricing strategy. It's the advertisement dressed up as a menu item. Here's the inversion. You think the value menu is the cheap part of the restaurant. It's actually the marketing department, quietly disguised as food. The dollar burger doesn't exist to feed you. It exists to get you to trust the brand enough to order the $11 combo next time. But there's a cost hidden in this model too, and it's not financial, it's structural. Value menus create enormous operational pressure. Kitchens need speed and consistency at scale, which means labor is optimized down to seconds per item. Portion sizes are strictly standardized, and any waste eats directly into thin margins on regular items. Franchisees, who often pay significant royalty fees regardless of profitability, can find themselves squeezed, required to offer value pricing set by corporate headquarters, even when local costs like rent and wages are rising. The value menu that looks cheap to you can be genuinely painful for the person running the store. Here's the single variable that separates a value menu that works from one that quietly bleeds a franchise drive volume. The entire model depends on enormous transaction counts. A 90% margin on a dollar drink means very little if only a handful of people order it. But multiplied across thousands of transactions a day, across thousands of locations, those pennies become one of the most reliable, weatherproof revenue streams in the entire business because, unlike a $12 combo, a $1 item barely registers as a purchase decision at all. People buy it on autopilot. That's the real engineering, not the price. The psychology of a price low enough to bypass thinking entirely. Let's run a simple worked example. Say a location sells 500 small drinks a day at $1.50 each. That's $750 in revenue. At roughly 10 cents of product cost per drink, that's $50 in cost, leaving $700 in near pure profit from a single item most customers barely think twice about. Now compare that to a $12 combo meal where ingredient costs, packaging, and labor eat a much larger share of the price. The dollar drink, ounce for ounce, dollar for dollar, can outperform it. So the next time you pull up to that drive-thru, telling yourself you're just getting the cheap stuff, remember what's actually happening. You're not finding the loophole in the pricing. You're walking straight into the part of the business built specifically for you. The value menu was never the discount. It was always the design.